Hello everyone, welcome back bitch to a new equestrian trash video. These are by far my absolute favorite videos to film, and in today's video we have the Spursuader. That is such a douchey name. Now, a couple months ago, if you're following me on Instagram, which you should, I posted this on my story because I thought to myself, this is very interesting. I really like it when I see people recreate abusive products into something that's more gentle. I want to say right off the bat, no hate to this company. I think that by them creating this product, they are at least trying to help and they're trying to create something that's good for the horse. But if you are an equestrian like myself who maybe doesn't use spurs, or you're an equestrian who is new, or maybe you're not even an equestrian and you just like these videos, thank you.
I love you, bitch.
We are going to go ahead and talk about the purpose of spurs, why they were created, and why this product is a thing. So if you're unfamiliar with spurs, the main reason people use them responsibly is for guiding the horse and having a little extra push or direction when you're riding. A lot of riders who use spurs responsibly use them as an additive tool.
The spur isn't going on her side because my toes are parallel to the horse's mouth. There I'm using my spur, saying, come on, can you get into the bit, please? But I wanted to use it, like I chose to use it, and then I chose to put it away. Nothing is happening if I don't want it to happen.
I believe the Roman conquests were the first records of people actually having and using spurs. The original spur that was created a long ass time ago were called pride spurs. They were really violent looking, and over time spurs have become more and more subtle. Now the most common riders who use spurs are dressage riders, Western riders, and jumpers. Dressage riders use what is called a swan neck, Waterford, or disc spur. Jumpers will use what's commonly called as the Prince of Wales spur, and Western riders tend to use longer, wider, and sharper spurs. Western riders are known for having some pretty aggressive, abusive spurs. I ride all types. I never use spurs myself, which I will talk about, but just in a general stance, if you actually took a poll, most Western riders use spurs that are vastly more aggressive and abusive than English riders.
Now the rodeo people, some of them complained, oh, you're using older style spurs we don't use anymore. We went and ordered up some new spurs. We got ourselves another nice piece of pine. I want you to show here that that pine is unmarked. The guys who are using these, they've got them on their feet, which has got lots more power than what I'm going to have in my hand here. That wasn't even 8 seconds, was it? Look at what happened to the wood. The same thing that happened with the spurs that we used earlier. Steel is going to hurt when it's slamming into flesh.
Now, my problem with spurs, which I have talked about time and time again on this channel, is that I find spurs to be very unnecessary. I just don't see a reason for any rider to wear spurs, with the exception of a few riders who I personally know, and they need long swan necks in order to actually reach the horse so they're not throwing themselves off balance. There's very few exceptions as to why I would find a spur to be okay for using. The majority of the time, it's a very unnecessary product, and most horses don't need spurs. A lot can go wrong when you wear spurs. So I just personally recommend not to use an additive piece of equipment if you don't absolutely have to. So then we get into the Spursuader. Oh God. So this is the package that the Spursuader came in. I mean, look at it. I wasn't too pleased with this. It just seems like a really cheap package. I believe I paid 50 something or 60 something dollars for the spurs. Spursuader was developed with the sensitive horse in mind. Its unique, patented design gives riders a better response than a traditional sharp-edged spur. Whether you are an experienced rider or a novice, Spursuader's rounded edges and larger contact area will give you an excellent response from your horse without jabbing or irritating them. I'm sorry. Even on the fucking package, it talks about how other spurs will jab and irritate your horse. Just don't use spurs. If you don't need spurs, there's no reason to use them. 9 times out of 10, every rider I see who's wearing spurs does not need spurs. Made especially for the sensitive horse, Spursuader is gentler but no less effective than a traditional spur. This is what the spurs look like. They stick out about, I want to say an inch, and it does have rounded edges on it, but otherwise it looks like a normal spur. Now, I've talked to a lot of my equestrian friends about these spurs. They don't work right off the bat when you initially look at them, because in order for this spur to actually work, it needs to be tilted inwards about 45 degrees on each side towards the horse. So Spursuader actually claims that their spurs are tilted inward, but upon my own due diligence looking into this, I found that my spurs, one of them was not tilted in at all. It was almost perfectly straight, and the other was tilted in barely a few degrees. I want to say 10 to 11 degrees max, which is nowhere even close to how tilted it would need to be effective and to make full surface area contact with your horse instead of just the side. Now, Spursuader claims that you don't have to turn your foot 90 degrees because these spurs work. They even give a demonstration video, but even in the demonstration video that they have, you can clearly see that this is only making contact with the edge of the spur and not the actual full surface area. The creation of a large amount of surface area is not going to do anything because you're still going to be making contact with just the edge of the spur, which is essentially the same contact as a normal spur. So let me elaborate. The whole purpose of having a gentler spur is to increase the surface area that's making contact with the horse. The smaller the surface area, the more heavily concentrated the amount of pressure is going to be when you apply it to your animal. So in order to make a spur more gentle, you need to increase the surface area that's making contact with your horse to decrease the amount of pressure that it's applying.
We use snowshoes to walk on snow. The reason for that is simple. Due to the larger area in contact with the snow, snowshoes reduces the pressure on the snow. In case of normal shoes, due to comparatively smaller area of contact, the pressure on snow is more and it sinks a feet deep inside. Note that the force applied on the snow in both the cases is the same.
I want to show you guys my trial testing that I did with Link.
It's a really rainy day. I've got this Spursuader on my right and I have nothing on my left.
So I know I'm gonna get a lot of questions before I even fucking go on. I just wanna say what you see the spurs attached to is literally just some leather pieces that I picked up at my local Tractor Supply. If you guys thought for 1 second that I was gonna go out and buy another product that supports the usage of spurs, who do you think I am?
I'm just gonna be testing the pressure differences. I do wanna point out that if you are riding bareback for more than 10 to 15 minutes, you need to wear a pad on your horse's back for protection. Today, I'm literally just riding for, 5 at the most. I'm just gonna see how he responds to the pressure differences. Good boy, thank you for standing. Good, stand. Good boy. This arena is a little bit more wet than usual, so I'm just starting off with some basic stops, starts, back him up, back, 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 nicely done, good boy. So the spur, I don't know if you can see that, but when I hit him, I'm tapping him from the side. So, I know buddy, I know. What I just did with my body movement was I was asking him to move over. Which he did beautifully. I'm not gonna get up past the trot in the arena because it's really wet. Are All right, let's try it out. Good. Not really liking that.
You're gonna notice whenever I put my leg on him, just like I do right here, he pins his ears in response to the pressure of the spur. Now keep in mind, I'm not applying very much pressure at all. I'm just asking him to subtly bend into the spur, as I do in many other points throughout this video, as well as move off the spur, and he just doesn't really take it that well.
Good. Now I'm gonna ask him to move away from it. Good. He doesn't like it. I'm barely tapping him and he doesn't like it. He's like swishing his tail constantly, which he never does, ever. Good boy. All right, I'm gonna ask him to move off the spur. Good boy. He took that a little bit better. Nicely done. It's starting to rain super hard, so we're gonna call that a day. Good job. Good boy, nice testing. Good job, you little muffin. Good boy. Good job.
If these were able to be used correctly, I would have to turn my foot 90 degrees when I'm riding to actually make the appropriate contact with the horse that this is intended for. Otherwise, they don't work. They're just applying the same amount of pressure as normal spurs. So I hope you guys really enjoyed the fact that you took so much time out of your life and money to get this design patented, because you're gonna have to fucking change it. You're welcome. I also don't like the fact that there's a lot of people out there who would go over to a more subtle and non-abusive option for using spurs, even though it's unnecessary, because they see something like this and they want something that's more gentle for their horse. I don't like the fact that those types of people are being preyed upon by this brand, because this brand is going to get a lot of people, and maybe already has, to blow a lot of money on something that doesn't actually work and is not going to be any more gentle on your horse than a normal spur. Which is why I'm making this video, because I commented this on the brand's Instagram page and they replied with this. So, as you're guessing, I was not too pleased with their response to me. If you're gonna come out with a product that you claim to be revolutionary, that's a lot more gentle on your horse than a normal version of that same product, then you need to have veterinary studies, peer-reviewed studies, and actual scientific evidence and proof that your product works and does what you say it's going to do. They have no proof whatsoever that this spur is going to be a more gentle and effective tool and aid when you're riding, which is just really disappointing to me, because I know how many people will and probably already have bought these thinking that this is going to be a more gentle tool and aid for using when you're riding, and then it ends up just being the same amount of pressure applied to your horse. I don't know, maybe even more aggressive, we don't know, because they have no studies. So in conclusion, this is the biggest fucking design fail of 2020 so far. No hate to this brand. I know that they had good intentions in mind when they created this product, and I know that they will hopefully change this design to be better and more effective in the future, so they're not advertising a product that is no less gentle than a normal spur. Anyway, that is it for today's equestrian trash video. Let me know what else you guys want to see in those comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. This is my Hey Bitch hat. Go pick those up if you're interested. We just restocked. That link will be down below, as well as follow Shop Raleigh and link on Instagram, because we do monthly giveaways and I'd love to see your faces over there. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.